afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay. Well, finally, for you and for me. All right. So I'm Dana. I'm very happy to be here and sharing with you my action plan on creating community in the English classroom. And actually, I'm in the same group as Paula, so some of the parts will be overlapped, and I will skip them. I will be focusing on the 5 parts. I'll tell you the objectives, what I want to do it, and the inspiration, where the ideas are from. The action plan itself, I'll explain a bit, and the activities that I've carried out through the semester. And hopefully, I can share with you as many activities as I can, so that you can bring home with some of the activities for you. And then my reflections and some suggestions. Okay. After learning so many, attending so many workshops in Canada, and I was very impressed with how the teachers try to focus on individual needs, and they pay attention to, they try to cater to the students' needs and learning styles. And I found out they use many different kinds of activities, and they try to create an environment that makes students feel safe. So I want to bring that home with me. So I want to create a safe and student-centered learning environment. And I want them to utilize more than I do. So instead of me talking all the time, I want to, say, oh, okay, now you do the talking. So I want to give them more opportunity in either speaking or writing in English. And then in the process of learning, I wanted them to not take quizzes, but use activities to see how much they have learned. And the ideas were from the two courses, the pupil assessment and the fundamentals of teaching and learning. Okay, the action plan itself, you see hard math, right? You see 4 corners and you see that circle. So actually our group thought of, so how do we create communities in class? It must be done through grouping. And how can we do that? There are so many ways of grouping. So we came up of 3 strategies. The first one is to use props. It can be any kind of props. But then you can use the hard to find your match, it feels good, and you can use it as a review of the vocabulary or some phrases. So we use hard match. And the second way of grouping is we group through students' opinions. Okay, if you like this, you go to that corner. If you like that, you go to that corner, and you discuss and you share, you tell why. The last one is we group students according to the formation system. So that's basically why we have these 3 activities. The application can be done to any text, because we have long-term learning. And every part, they got the vocabulary, the warm-up, the sentence pattern, the test. And for example, the hard match, you can use it in reviewing the vocabulary. You can use it in warm-up and sentence pattern. And you can use 4 corners for discussion and text. So we think that they're applicable to every part, every version of the textbook. And these are the activities that I've done throughout the semester. The name tag is the first one, because it's a new semester and students don't know each other well, and I don't know them either. So this is one of the this is the example. I have to show you that I only give them colored paper. I don't give them any marker, because I know they got big pencil boxes, right? And they got all color pens and everything. So I'm just giving them a piece of paper. I say, okay, fold your paper into half, and then write your Chinese name and write your English name and draw at least 4 things in 4 corners that represent you best. Like, you like basketball, you draw basketball. You like to listen to music, you draw musical notes, whatever. And there's one student whose name tag was quite blank. He's in the middle, the Oasis. And why I choose this name is that it's very difficult for me to remember students' name in the very first week or the second week. So he said, hi, I'm welcome, because my Chinese name is the Oasis. Oh yeah, so the Oasis, and I remember it from then on. So I think this is a very good way. But there's something else that I added in the back. See, if they fold the paper like this, it is blank, right? So I don't want to waste the paper. I asked them to write answers to the 3 questions on the blackboard, which are, in what occasions do you think you will use English? And some say they will go traveling, some say they will use it at work, maybe go study abroad, or to use it as a mail correspondence. And the second question is, what language skills do you think you will use the most? Listening, speaking, reading, writing is up to them. And then the last one is, how much time will it take you outside the classroom to reach this goal? Some say 30 minutes a day, some say 3 hours a week. So it's up to them. So you see, when they are folding the paper like this, I can see the name, right? Because I'm standing on the platform. But these, the answers to the questions, can serve as reminders for them to see, okay, if I want to really improve my listening skill, I have to listen to a student classroom every day, like that. So it serves as a reminder. And also, I asked them to take this name tag to go outside the classroom to do the inner and outside circle. Oh, sorry. Okay, to do the inner and outside circle, I have to be very honest with you. What I've done, it was frustrating. And I couldn't do it in the classroom because it was, full of desks and chairs. So I have to take them out to the field. And students are always very slow. They take the name tag and hee and ha ha, and then walk down. And then they try to. I got a class of 51 students. Oh no, too many for 2 circles. So I say, okay, break into 4 circles, 2 outer one and 2 inner one. And I found it very frustrating. They don't understand what I was saying. And I have to yell because I was outside the class. I don't have the microphone with me. And finally they were like, they talk together like, the girls, hey, we eat together, And then the boys like, they don't know what to do, and they have their hands in the pocket. And they don't have a circle, they have oval. That big gap in this part and that part. And you have to try to make sure that each and every one of them have a partner to talk to. And that takes 15 minutes. 15 from the very beginning, after the bell rings, and then when they start to get to talk, 15 minutes. So they A talk to B, B only listens, and then B talks to A only listens, and then both of them talking. They share and say, okay, my name is Vicky, I like to play basketball, I like to listen to music, and after that they can, if the time is not up yet, they can talk something about, the question on the back, and then after that, okay, switch partner, and then something miraculous happens. 3 people to 1 person, and then they were like, people have no partner. So it was a disaster. So I've never done that anymore. After, it was ideal, it was very good activity, but I don't know why somehow just carry out the way I wanted it to be. Okay, so, and then it was a hard match. I was very lucky that semester because I had an intern teacher to help me with the props. And she did all the jobs, like, for the review. Like whisper, to use one's breath to speak very quietly, or you can use review the idioms and phrases. And again, like what Paula said, you spend hours doing the prompts, and then like, okay, 2 minutes. After we found that, I have extra extension activity is that I ask the pairs to make 2 sentences at least with a verb or with a word or with the phrases they that mean to them, and to see if they really understand and they really know how to use the verb or the phrase, the word or the phrases. Okay, and then in the very beginning of the semester, I give them an anticipation guide because you have that in your handouts. So I'm not gonna go through every detail. The purpose is that I want to know whether students feel comfortable in working in groups and how they feel about group learning, whether they believe that they can learn from their peers, questions like that. And after that, okay, the activities that carried out through the semester were based on the lessons that were planned in studying book 3. So this is an activity for lesson 2 about food. And then I asked them I grouped them. But this time I was smart. I grouped them according to, different colored sticky notes. You can also use any stationery if you like to. So they get together and then they have to think of one cuisine or delicacy that best represents Taiwan. And they think of the ingredients, the way to cook it, the way to make it, and they translate that into English, and they give it a beautiful name that appears on fancy restaurant menus, And this is an example. 复杂纠结的三角恋 and the ingredients are pearl with milk and tea. Pearl, milk, tea, right? So that's bubble tea. So they give it another name. And another example is 香煎母屉佐台式甜辣酱. So this is yeah. And then there's a very poetic one. I really have no idea. I'll try to translate that into English. The Chinese is 城湖映暮色，金兰坠岸边. Like, the sunshine reflected on the lake and the flowers and grasses decorated the riverside. And the ingredients are boiled noodles with golden egg, coriander, shiny bean sprouts, and high-quality pork. Do you know what it is? 担仔面. Do you see? And that is interesting, and they like it. Okay, so that is for lesson 2. Okay, and then after that we have. I gave students. I asked students to teach one vocabulary, so they don't. That is for another lesson. I asked them to teach one vocabulary, so it's not very burden. It's not a burden for them, and they have 2 minutes at most, and they can. If the vocabulary is easy, they can just read it through the definition, the word, and the sentence. If there's something more that needs to be added, they can they can share with the class the derivatives, words, how to use the word, or some grammar in sentence patterns. And students like that, why? Because they can be on the stage and pretend that they are the teacher, and then they shake the microphone, align the microphone, and then say, okay, class, pay attention. They like to be the teacher, they like to act. So, and they were impressed, because if I were the one who was on the stage talking all the time, first they will pay attention, but then gradually they will just goes off. You know how that appears in the classes. So they went to the stage, and they were always awake, because they wanted to know what next person will teach and will show. And I also asked my students to teach one lesson about baseball, because I was not familiar with baseball and I was not into it. But my students were very good. They drew the chart, the baseball field, and then they explained the National League, the American League, thank you. They explained the Major League Baseball, MLB, Starting and they explained everything, and students were very excited. I would just sit there and, good, thank you, excellent job. You don't have too much talking, you are able to show. All right, and then there's a lesson about Chaplin. It was about silent movies. So I had a handout about movie and music. And it happened to me that in one of my classes, there was a pop music group club leader, and he was very good at music. So I asked him to share with us, explain what is the difference between, for example, blues and reggae or R&B, and what is crossover music. And he just used the break time for like 15 minutes or so. He searched the YouTube, and then he played the videos. And he said, R&B is like this and that, and reggae is like boom, 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 boom. And then students can have a better idea. They just to see this, and then, okay, blues, like R&B, like whatever, So they have a better picture, because I asked the students who are really good to come to become the teacher and then share with the class what they know. And I even asked the club leader to go to other classes and share these videos. And you know what? He was the person who goes almost all the time. But after that class, he was awake all the time. Okay, and the extension, there was one part for the grammar. I grouped students again, but this time I drew lots. Okay, I didn't use it. I didn't group them according to props, but I drew lots. And they have to. Oh no, not so. I'm sorry. I grouped them according to the lines. Okay. I give them an envelope, and then with 6 cards. That is a lesson we talk about adverb modifying the whole sentence. So, for example, obviously you are blind. So we try to teach that. So they have to write 2 subjects, 2 intransitive verbs, and 2 adverbs. And after that, they put the cards in the back, and they have to give the envelope to the line next to them. And when the line gets the cards, they have to choose which 3 to be their sentence. And they have to have 3 students to go up to the stage and then try to tell the rest of the class what the word is in his hand or in her hand. And for those who got it correctly, they can get a point. Like this, okay? For example, the vampire, for the word vampire, they would say, it's another word for zombie, long, sharp teeth, and suck blood, and then people say, I know. They tell the answer. Okay, so this is basically how it works. Okay, there's another activity. It's called Story Relay. I think there was a presenter who have shared with you. This is not related to the text, but I want them to start to experience something about writing. So I grouped them into 4 or 5 I remember. And I give each of them 3 minutes to write the story. And they can only, they have to work on their own. They can't let others see their work. For example, there are 4 of you together here, and you go first, you go second, you go next. And they have to decide the name of their main character. And that's all. Because I say, this is going to be a secret. If you know too much about the plot, it wouldn't be fun. So this is basically how it works. So after time is up, I say, okay. And then they have to fold the first 2 lines and leave only the last one for the next person to continue. So they were like, what is that about? What is that? So riding the horse and went away. What is that? How am I supposed to continue with the sentence? So as you can imagine, they are creative, absurd, illogical sentences, and the plot was twisted this way and that way. And after that, I collected all the papers. I posted them around the class walls for students to take a gallery walk, so that they can know the group story and they know other group stories. And afterwards, I asked them, so how do you think of the activity? Oh, it's too short. I don't have enough time to write it. And I asked them, why do you think I did that? I asked them, if I give you like 30 minutes to write 3 sentences or 5 sentences, do you think you will do a better job? And they say no. I said, well, sometimes you have to work under pressure, and your potential will just be, stimulated. And they said, oh yeah. And after that, I also explained to them the elements of the story, the beginning. You have to have a beginning, and you have to the development, conflict, and maybe some foreshadowing, so it will become logical, so that you can guess, what comes next, and then the climax, the ending, the protagonist, the antagonist, and the point of view, first person or third person's point of view. And after that, I have another writing activity. So this activity takes about 1.5 hours. I give them another piece of paper and write 3 questions. I say, how do you like the story to relay activity? Why? And you cannot just say, okay, I like the activity because it is fun to do it. This is not good enough. You have to try to voice your training. You have to elaborate a little bit. So I also introduced them the format of a paragraph. You have to indent, because many students do not know that they have to indent in the first line of the paragraph. And I asked them in the second sentence, if you have a chance to do it again, will you write it differently? Why or why not? And then the last one is, what have you learned from the activity? And at first, I was thinking like, well, don't just end it like that. Don't just have fun. I want you to think of something and write something and give me some feedback. And the feedback surprised me. I'll read it to you. The first one is this. I do like this activity because we can create our own stories with imagination and creativity, and we can see what our classmates think about when they wrote their story. If I have a chance to do the activity again, I won't write it differently because I think the story we created at first time was the most precious. I have to learn how to use some limited clues to make the story more logical and share my story with my partner. Amazing, no mistakes. Correctly, express himself very clearly. 10 minutes only. Okay, wow, you can do that, And the other one say she will do it differently because she has learned from others. And there was a student who wrote some answers that also surprised me. He said, I still don't like writing. I still think writing is difficult, but at least it can be fun. And isn't that what we're trying to give to our students? Something different, something more engaging. Okay, and I was thinking that, teachers always try to incorporate some activities into our classroom. So I'm thinking, well, maybe if I can ask them to write simultaneously, you won't be wasting that much time. So I take one lesson from the textbook and divided them into groups, divided students into groups. I say, okay, you have to choose, each one of you choose 4 words or 5 words and 1 phrase, and then write a paragraph. You have 10 or 15 minutes, I don't remember. After that, you can discuss who goes first, who goes second. This time I gave them the beginning. The 12th lesson was about Romeo and Juliet in Stephanie. And it says, the Montagues and the Capulets have long feuded with each other. So they hate each other for a long time. So the main character will be Romeo and Juliet. And then you know that you can work on the first paragraph, so you think about it. And then you go to the second. So you have to try to guess what your partner will write. If you are working on the third paragraph, for example. And then you have to have an ending. Okay, if you are working on the ending, it can be either a good ending or a bad ending, and that's all. No don't just like to be continued. You have to make like an ending. And after 10 minutes, I find it very difficult for me to collect those papers because I'm still working. And finally, when all the papers are collected, they say, teacher, it's not as fun as the last activity because we don't have clues. So they like the other one better. But they admit that when they are working on these activities, they remember the words better and they know how to use it better. And when they are working, I have to go around the classroom to see if they got any questions on how to translate those words or how to express themselves or if they're using it correctly. And with some low achievers in my class, I have to try to translate the words for them. Translate the sentence for them. They have ideas, but they do not know how to express it correctly. So you have to be there and oh yeah, good idea, yes. And then are you trying to say this and that? And try to be encouraging and supportive. Okay. This is also an activity about the Roman and Juliet lesson because that is about names, right? What is in the name? So I asked them to bring newspapers and magazines, and then for the group they have to think of a title, a theme, and they have to cut the names according to the theme. And this one, do you know what it is? Harry Potter, 两岸政策,台湾大学, 离婚卡卡. The theme is fashion, something that is in fashion, something that people do or people talk about. So after they come up with the poster, the other groups have to guess what the theme is. And you think it's easy, right? No, it's not, because if you are the student, you have a difficult time guessing what the thing is, and they like it too because they say, oh, I can cut and I can glue, and it's like going back to childhood. I can do a lot of work, and they like that. Okay, and after that is the post-test analysis. After the semester almost ended, I gave them the same anticipation guide again. Okay, and I say I go through with them, each and every one of the statements, and I ask them, we have done this and that, and how do you feel? So, you see the yellow line is, okay, the orange line is the pre-test result, and the other color is the post-test result. For example, for the first question is, I know my classmates well. Some of them didn't know each other that well, but they know each other better now. Or for for number 7, I know how to express myself in English. Yes, they feel better they know how to express themselves in English better. And for example, for number 10, I gain self-confidence in the English class, and most of them do show that. For number 14, for example, I know how to improve in terms of learning efficiency. So this is the result. Okay, for the reflections and suggestions, I will have to say that the 4 corners are very good, but I didn't do any of the 4 corners because I didn't find related to topics in the textbook. And the inner outside circle, I told you it was a disaster. So guess what? I made it a destination. You see, there are like 7 lines, right, in the classroom. And then there are like 7 rows or 5 rows, 6 rows at least. So this time I go to another class and I tell them, you're going to have your name tag, right? And you have to share, you have to introduce yourself to your classmates. So you have to be like this. For example, students in line 1, okay, they face me, right? But they have to face each other now. And after they're done the talking, they have to switch partners. What do I do? You go, for example, you are in the second one, that's the first one. I talk to you, and then you talk to her, like that, okay? Or the first line, they talk like this, and then I turn this way instead, I turn this way, I talk to her, and then now I talk to him, like that. So another way, you can still talk to people, but you don't have to move around. You have to spend time, gathering, make ovals and gaps, lump together at the same time, and they like it too, okay? For a hard match, I suggest that we can use still, paper, but you can use stickers, okay? Or you just draw triangles. Okay, so for those who got triangles, you are a match, you are a pair, and you have to talk. And it will be easier. You don't have to type the shading and everything. Or what's better, you got 40 students in your class, right? You ask them to write the words, right? For example, what was it? Whisper. Okay, you write whisper, and you write the definition, and then you draw it, you cut it, you give it to the teacher, and then I got 40 words. Isn't it nice? All right. So I just showed the anticipation guide results, and for the teachers, I really think it's important for us to group our students in order to create community. Because if there's like only one student, like, hi, my name is Dana, the rest will be listening. They don't have the chance to speak. But if you pair them up or group them up, you have 50 students communicate at the same time. And also, if they are work in a team, they can learn from others. And just from what the result has shown, they really like they like the activity and they enjoy it, and they think that they can really help others and they can make contribution. Okay, and I think it's important to establish an effective learning climate, because if we realize that our preference in teaching and our learning experiences really affects the way we teach, and if we understand that, we will be more able to cater to different students' learning needs. And I think once their needs are satisfied, can we really bring their potential to the full? So there are many things that we need to do and want to do, but we know that we are just one teacher and we can't change the whole policy. But at least we can change ourselves a little bit, and I think we can make a difference in us and help our students make a difference in what I've learned and what I've done in the past.